Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Urban Indigo Podcast. I'm your host, Diana Min. Today, I am joined by one of my very favorite clients, Kimmie Cruz. Thanks so much for being here, Kimmie.
I love you. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun conversation because honestly, anytime I am on a call with Kimmie, we are having a blast, and which is why it was so much fun working with you and just how much we vibe energetically. But Kimmie, your story is so inspiring, honestly, and I'm so proud of the work that you have put in to create the life that you are living now and experiencing now. And it's such like a drastic quantum leap, almost like a different reality of when we first came into contact or when you first found me. And so I'm really excited to share that with our audience today.
hmm I look forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what you do, and just kind of where you're at right now, and we can then take the journey back into where you were when we first met.
So my name is Kimmie Cruz, Kimberly Cruz. I am a proud mother and just loving woman. I also am a COO for our family office that we work with ultra wealthy individuals and big, large commercial real estate projects. And I'm a real estate broker with Global Banker Global Luxury and a top 2% agent in the country, in addition to what I do with the family office. So I was definitely in a strange place when we met. I was looking at like a solution, like how can I just manifest what I want? And I think when we first met, I wanted to just I just wanted like a potion, an answer, a solution. I didn't want to do any work. I didn't know there was any work involved. I think that's the most interesting part of all of this is, you're in this world and you're kind of going about your business and all of a sudden things feel off. Or one person talks to you about something like grounding and you're like, well, what do you mean? Like a girlfriend of mine, we were in the middle of a photo shoot and she said, do me a favor. I want you to take your shoes off because you're off and go stand on the grass for like 5 minutes and then talk to me. And I'm like, 5 minutes exactly. She's like, just go stand there. It's hard when you're that like type A person. And I
Mm.
did. And all of a sudden this other world opened up for me of I'm not connected. I'm not connected to the world. I'm not connected to me. I'm not connected to people that I want to be connected to. I'm over here chasing my wheels. And there's something to be said to have like a full cup or a cup like running over versus a cup that operates on half empty. And that's what I was. I thought I was doing so much and go, 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 go. And the more I went, the more I was depleted. So I wasn't feeding myself right. I wasn't working out. I didn't feel good. I didn't sleep. I wasn't nurturing my relationships at home with my children. I was just manic and in a lot of pain. And I think covering some stuff up in order to not face like the reality of who I am and what this world really is. And, that's what led me to you. Um, I don't know. Hopefully that answers some questions.
Yeah, no, that was a beautiful entryway into our journey together. And I just want to say, like, your story is one of many people's stories, right? Because a lot of times we are constantly looking in our physical reality to fulfill the hole or the void within. And we're constantly kind of, like you said, your wheel spinning in this rat race of like, okay, well, it must be because I need more money. It must be because I need a bigger house. It must be because I need a nicer car, a better partner, or I need to look better, or I need to buy more bags and shoes. Like we're always looking for this external piece to fill the inner void. But there's a big sense of awakening when we realize, wait, this inner void actually has been empty for a really long time. And doing the work, like you said, you didn't know there was any work to do, but doing the work of trying to find out, like, where did that void really start? And how do we actually fill it with something sustainable that's going to be long lasting instead of chasing temporary highs? which I think you being a type A personality, like success for you and achievement was that temporary high for you. Like you're like, okay, next rung on the ladder, boom, next rung on the ladder. How do we keep climbing? How do we keep growing? And that's where you were getting that sense of depletion because it was never enough or it wasn't the fulfillment that you were really seeking.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the fulfillment I was seeking. And I think for me, I started getting into this survival mode, and it happened so quick. And then I was existing there for about 4 years in this survival mode. And that is a very uncomfortable place to be. The survival mode that, once you get into it, it's hard to get out of it. It's like being locked in a house and being scared to go out. I think that's something that a lot of people could relate to after the shutdown happened, where people had to build that confidence to go back out again. I had to build my confidence again. But more importantly, I never learned as a young girl, and I never learned as a young woman, as a mature adult. I'd never learned to love myself. I never learned that the only person who really mattered in terms of approval, love, acceptance, self-worth was me. I know my self-worth, my higher self, that embodies everything of who I am and who I've ever been, knew that number one, it's all going to be okay. And number two, regardless of what I do, how I do it, anything that I feel I've done wrong or I need forgiveness for, she already loves me. She already is looking out for only the best. And that feeling of comfort and being okay is that feeling of being in line with your higher self, being in line with the you that you really are, no matter what. And that was, in knowing I was going to speak with you today, I thought about a bunch of different things that I really sourced from our over a year together. And one of the biggest things I sourced was understanding boundaries, because a lot of those boundaries allowed me to develop into this and to have that respect for myself. But I also noticed everything I did, no matter if it's boundaries or understanding to make room to receive, it's all about the self. It all reflects back to that.
Yeah. Wow. That was so beautifully said. And, when you were not in touch with your higher self and you were not in touch with this place of forgiveness and radical self-acceptance and compassion, do you feel like the constant striving for achievement or this constant striving for success was what you thought would make you whole again, right? Or it's like would make you good enough because there was this inner part of you that essentially was seeking validation and approval from what, like you said, your young child, your inner child that was seeking it from your mother or your parents, or your inner teen, your young adult that was seeking it from partners, but you were always thinking, okay, maybe the next level of success, I'll finally have that validation, that approval, that good enoughness. And the journey that you're describing is you went within and you gave it to yourself.
Very much so. I think, you were talking like some women, like with the shoes and I'm not a shoes or a purse person. Like shoes, if they fit, great. Purse, I carry an iPhone. Everything's on it. Like I put my key in my bra. I literally walk into places with just my phone. People don't even know how I'm surviving without a whole purse. But for me, the women that seek out like retail therapy, or the humans, should I say, that seek out retail therapy, that's great. And I think that works to everybody to a point. It's nice to go shopping and get nice things here and there, but it was never like that thing that worked for me. It was the next successful thing. Success was my retail therapy. The next award, the next achievement, the next accolade, the next glass thing that I had on my desk, or certificate or degree or class that I graduated from. I always put that like in my pocket or my arsenal. And I kept pushing, pushing, pushing. And in this conversation now, I'm reflecting back, my ex-husband, I remember he said to me after we divorced, after almost 10 years, and he said, maybe if you would have put me first rather than work, things could have been different.
Wow.
And I never really loved him, so I'm glad they're not different, just to throw that out there. But not that he's a bad guy, he just wasn't my guy.
Mhm.
But I look at it now and I was just so addicted to the work and the success at work and to help get my message across or help others achieve or help make the deal. And it's a great feeling. And there is a high when you're in positions where you're making deals and you're making money that comes with
Yeah.
that. That's very similar to like that retail therapy,
Yeah. Yeah.
high. And I did realize I didn't need that
Mm.
meditation really helped me breathe again. And understanding your breath and how important your breath is a huge lesson in life. And knowing that you don't have to constantly operate on a nervous system high. I just left my Gonstead chiropractor, which is another thing you
Nice.
pushed, right? And I was seeing a chiropractor. I'd seen a chiropractor for 3 years, but then I saw a
Yeah.
Gonstead chiropractor and it was a different thing. I noticed his vibe was different. I noticed he was able to pinpoint exactly what was going on in my body and that it was helping not just my spine align, but it was helping my whole system stay calm.
Regulate. We love a regulated
Regulate.
nervous system. Honestly, a regulated nervous system is the new generational wealth, I feel, right? Because
Ah,
think about what
I
we
love that.
inherited from our parents, and what they inherited from their parents was, like you said, the survival mode, right? The panic, the anxiety, the manic, the never not good enough, the constant striving for the next accolade, the next success, the next rung on the ladder. And having a regulated nervous system is saying, me as I am, I'm great. I'm more than great. I'm amazing. I'm at peace. I'm I'm relaxed. I can be here. I can be present. I can breathe, right? And then it's ironic that actually the success and the abundance and the fulfillment still comes in, but you just actually don't have to kill yourself for it now.
You don't. You don't. I'm doing better, doing less, and being more concentrated. Um, the other thing is when you're kind of out there and you're like, okay, I'm involved in all these things, these 10 things. You're never really giving it your all, are you? You think you are. And, oh, I've got this and this and this and this and all these 10 things. But then when you pull back, you say, you know what? I'm just going to do 3 things. I'm just going to do 3 things. And let me just do them well. And let me just stay calm. And let me really figure out what I need the universe to handle, what I need to breathe on, and what is my primary, uh, what's my number one thing to do right now. And I would make lists where I say, these are my number ones, number twos, number threes, number fours. Now I'm like, there are no more of the twos, threes, and fours. These are the items I need to get done. I can either do them today or tomorrow. And I'm not worrying beyond that because there's a lot of stress involved in that worrying beyond the next day. A lot of it takes care of itself. Money takes care of itself. And you're entrusted by God or the universe or source or whatever you want to call it with exactly what you're supposed to be entrusted to at the time you're supposed to be entrusted with it. But you can't really be entrusted with it if you're manic and all over the place. And that was me. I
Yeah.
was manic and all over the place and go and let's make it happen. Let's get it done. And that make it happen was my motto.
Yeah.
And it no longer is. It's more like let it happen. Let it
Yeah.
happen.
So when you were in that manic place, how was that negatively affecting your life? Like, what was the point for you when you were like, maybe I should seek some help or seek some guidance? Like, where was your life at? Can you describe that a little bit when you were
It's
in that
funny
place?
when I found you, Diana, I wasn't looking for what you offer. I just wanted to manifest. I'm like, I just want to manifest things. I just want to create. I just want to have it all. I just want more stuff. I need more money. I need my bank account to not be so scary. I was in a different place. I didn't realize I needed all of the things that you'd offer. that you would offer, and not to mention all of the things that had helped me evolve and grow and expand. I was in a strange place. I was in a place where I had relationships that were failing. I was in a place where I couldn't communicate and put boundaries up. That was so big for me, like especially with my mother, amongst other people, like my siblings, because this is your family and blood is thicker than water and all that other stuff. But I think it kind of, the shit kind of hit the fan, so to say, when my child came home on Mother's Day and he had a book, Mommy is good at, and it was, Mommy is good at reading me books in bed. And then on page 2, it was, Mommy is good at working on her computer. And that made my heart sink, because you don't want your kid to think that what you're good at is that you're always on the computer, always on the phone, always working. And I was turning into that mom, like the old Friends episode of Phoebe, where Phoebe's in the hospital and she's like 35 years old and she's like gonna have a second heart attack or something because she just won't stop working and she needs to deal. And that was me.
Yeah.
And I just pulled back because I saw my kids see that in me. And I wasn't present. I'd be with them, but then I'd be staring at the phone, like, let me just make sure nobody's calling. Now it's like, I'll even text my partners because I'm in a really nice position with the family office where I'll say, look, I'm not going to be available for the next, I'm done for the evening. If you need me, you can, contact me tomorrow. Or if it's an emergency, like dial me 3 times. That way I would know if the phone beeped too much. But for the most part, there aren't emergencies happening at night, and I can just be there present with my kids, help teach them how to read, go over math problems, talk about some of the things we talk about with kids, like even affirmations at this point, and roll this back into their generation, right? So that they're not raised with the anxieties that I was. And I had parents, especially a mother, who was too busy for me most of the time. And I was turning into that, like too busy for them. Like walking in a room, shutting the door, locking it, and daddy's taking care of them and everything's being taken care of except them from their mom. And boys, girls, it doesn't matter. They need a mother figure present as much as they need a father figure present.
Yeah. And you realize you weren't being that because you were so caught up in whatever was going on, swirling in your field of racing, right? Racing to the next. So, you said you weren't looking for what I offered. So then what was it about me? Because there's so many coaches out there, right? On Instagram, on social media. What was it about me that you were like, maybe I'll book a call with her. Maybe I'll see what she's about, even though you had no idea really what I was offering. That's really funny, actually.
I had no idea what you were offering. I had no idea where everything was going to go. Which, you know what? I did a lot of praying at that time. Like, please, like, I just like, throw me a bone, throw me something that can help me pull myself out of feeling like I'm digging myself out of the ground all the time. So I started with like these manifestation techniques, and I was on TikTok and Instagram, and I wasn't really looking for a coach. So you were really the first coach that showed up on my feeds. But I think when I saw that it was about empowerment, I said, empowerment coaching, interesting. And it's just some type of empowerment stuff. So I'm very interested in this. And then I got lavender is my favorite color. And you have this like image of yourself in this long lavender gown. And for whatever reason, I like this long lavender gown. I'm like, that's my color. That's my girl. I'm going to book a call with her. And so it was like, click here to book a free call. So I was like, okay, I'm going to click and just do a free call. Like, who knows? Let's see what there is. And the first time we spoke, I felt like she's somebody that I feel like I've known. We're on the same wavelength. She's brilliant and witty. And, you speak to a lot of people over time, coaches or otherwise, and you realize a large percent of people are not really interested in their, the intelligence factor is one thing, because there are people that have a lot of intelligence, but they don't want to even show you they have it or utilize it because they're too busy doing other things, like I was, right? But they're too busy doing other things. And I think when we had our very first call, you really, like you are now, you listened to me. You heard the words I was saying. You without the psychological babble, and I'm a psychologist by trade first. So without what I'm hearing you say is, because I think because I'm trained there, it didn't feel like a fluid conversation whenever I dealt with anybody else in the therapy realm in the past, because I've had a big loss. And after that, I dealt with another coach that was a real estate coach years ago that I'd sent him like a $4 million client that he did not listen to me either. And I got really frustrated with the listening factor. And I was like, you know what? I'll just handle it myself. So when you listen to me, that I said, okay, she's on the same wavelength as me, because that is of the utmost importance, is somebody that listens and that says, you know what? I think we can work together. I like you. I like you too. Liking somebody is also important. I don't want to work with just anybody. Tell them about things about me personally, open up myself, even if it is just in regards to, let's say, work coaching or business coaching. I want to make sure it's somebody who I can really brainstorm with and find real solutions. And I found that in you.
Oh, it's so sweet. I was just receiving that. That was so wonderful to recap. I remember that conversation too. When I remember us getting on the call, you actually thought I was like a real estate lead magnet person at first. And I was like, no, this is a call you booked with an empowerment coach. Like, I think you have me confused with someone else. And you try to like tell me to fuck off or something.
That's about
And
right.
and normally like I would have just like, I don't know, I would have just let it go and I would have been like, this person's not a match. But something in me that day was like, I'm going to give this person a chance to redeem themselves right now because I just felt something weird. And so it's so interesting that you said that you were praying a lot at that time. I was actually praying a lot at that time too. And when you describe saying like when you got on the call with me, you felt like you knew me and you felt like you recognized some sort of like my essence or who I was and my energy. I remember I was praying a lot at that time and I said something like, manifesting clients that see themselves in me, that when they see me, they recognize like who they are. And so when you say that, it's so interesting the way the universe works, right? To bring in the vibrational match that we were at that moment to really allow that to happen. And so, yeah, I mean, let's talk about that one time when, you started kind of going downhill, right? And things started to spiral for you financially. And, in the middle of a 4-month container, which is a 4-month contract, you were not able to make a payment. Let's talk about it's because that for you was a moment that I knew was going to define like this work for you. Because anytime the universe brings us a challenge, it is meant for us to rise to it. And I remember you kind of flopping around a little bit, drowning in it. Yeah, kind of getting into, victim mentality, which happens, right? And we even had a little bit of an intense conversation, right, about it.
Yep. Yep.
And part of that, I think is such an important part of the trust that we built is that, you're going to get loud with me. I'm going to get intense with you, but we both know that it's coming from a place of deep love and trust. But yeah, if you want to share from your perspective, because for me, I don't ever shy away from those moments like that with my clients because I know I'm calling you forward. That's the whole reason I call myself an empowerment coach, is because I'm not here to placate you, right? I'm not here to be like, everything's okay and you're doing great and everything's going to be beautiful. I'm not that coach. I'm like, hi, I'm in your face. This is what's not in alignment. This is what needs to get fixed. This is what needs to happen. And you're the one that needs to do it because ain't nobody coming here to do the work for you. Right. And, me being from New York, being from the East Coast, I think that's one of my, traits that I really know when I can work with really strong people because I'm a very strong person and you are a very strong person. And I knew that like I needed to help you tap into that power.
Okay, so let me jump on that now because you said I'm a New Yorker. So when we first spoke, look, I'm a listed real estate broker. So I get random calls from people oh, we want to sell you leads. We want to sell you leads. I'm like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in your leads. I'm not, so I think because you're a New Yorker, that's why you took that kind of fuck off attitude that I had as you know what, I kind of like that. I like that
Yeah.
she can go there. She even answered the phone and said, look, thanks, but no thanks. But then you're like, no, you booked a call for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, hold on. Sorry about that. We don't always have a happy face, and it's, there's no reason to fake it. And I'm just not a faker. So I think that also is the authenticity, but to have that onus and to own up was what you forced me to do. And the time that we had the tiff where we had, we definitely got loud with each other, and it was so necessary. And I needed to be held accountable. And you were like, but you need to give me a date, but you need to tell me when, and you need to not say, woe is me, and what do you want me to do? You got to figure it out. You have to figure it out. You made a commitment and you have to figure it out. And that was such a point in my life where I think because of the trust I built with you and the way I felt with you, even on day one, like moment one on the phone, I knew I wanted to do it for me, but I also wanted to make you proud. And I looked at it as like a sister for me, telling me like, come on, Kimmie, like, are you serious? Like, what are you doing? Not you hating me or being mad. And in the past, I take so much personal, but we've been through so much in just that 3-month time period or whatever. We've been through so much, and we dug so deep into me during that time period that there was no way I was going to quit. There was no way I was going to walk away. There was no way I said, you know what? I don't know, but it's going to happen. And there was a small stagnant period, and then I was back. And I don't know what happened during that period now, but I wasn't doing some of the things I should have been doing. Like, there were things that we were told to do through email. There were, the morning rituals and the morning guides to fill out. And there were things I wasn't doing. There were things I wasn't keeping up with. And, if you're making a commitment to a program, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're actually in that program, that you're not only paying for with money, but you're paying for with time, and you're paying for with energy, and you're putting. I have evolved after this into a whole spot that I never thought I would be in. And it has jumped me decades. And you'll hear from some people, and from my side, predominantly women, for years. Oh, if I knew now, if I knew at 20 what I knew now, if I knew at 30 what I knew now. Well, this allowed me to have those big jumps to say, I'm glad at 45, I know what I know now. Because I think there's jumps I took that I might not have hit till 65, 75, or ever, had I not done this with you. And it made me really understand. Sorry, it made me really acknowledge that nothing was fast. Nothing was free. Nothing was convenient. Nothing was easy. Nothing was just revealed. I had to work for it. But nothing was just manifested. That was my initial goal. Like, let me just manifest some stuff. Let me just manifest the money, the car, the job, all the stuff I wanted. Yeah. And it never really works that way. When you realize it's about, we are systemic, right? So it's about the whole package. It's about my whole self and place in the universe and the people I interact with. And, I was with a friend / client the other day, and he's from India. And he said, Kimmie, I feel you're different. I feel the way he said it to me, he said, I feel you've spiritually grown so much. And you're so different. And I know there's a calmness about me. Now, as a side effect of everything, I also lost 55 pounds. But yeah, and I think that was sleeping, putting my nutrition first, putting myself first again. And that was within the last year, that I wasn't even really expecting to, or I didn't realize was a priority. But you start putting yourself on this different you start loving yourself again. You're like, you know what? I love myself. Why am I not taking care of my temple? Why am I not treating my body with what I need to treat it with and giving it, the proteins and the fruits and liquids that it needs? Why am I masking it with other crap?
Mm.
Be it alcohol or just the chocolates and the sugar, 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 because I was raised that way. And I didn't like you modified me from here to here. Like you 360 modified me without knowing it. And there's still so much of that that's here. It's in my head. It's in my heart. It's forever changed me. Meditation in general changed who I am. And I never had meditated before this. I had done like sleep meditations, but I'd never really meditated. I would like guided sleep meditations so that I could fall asleep, but I'd never really sat and meditated and done like the yoga nidra and all of that. And all of it trained me to really revolve into who I'm supposed to be and who I came on this earth to be.
Well, why meditation is so powerful is because it allows you to be a master of your mind. And your mind is the monkey brain that will pull you in 9,000 different directions at once. And once you are able to master your mind, you become a master of yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your frequency, your vibration, right? And going back to the manifestation aspect, because at that moment, you basically were, out, down and out of luck, right? You couldn't pay the rest of your contract with me, and I held you accountable. I said, and it's not because I needed the money.
And thank you. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
Yeah. It's not because I needed the money, because there's tons of people that have defaulted before. Well, not tons, but like a good amount where I'm like, you know what? It's not a match. I actually prefer to cut this loose and move on, right? Because I have tons of other clients for me that I'd rather pour my energy into. But there was something with you where I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to call you forward. I'm going to pull you forward into your power, and I'm going to empower you to start doing this work, because like you said, you weren't doing the work, you weren't putting in the time, you weren't putting in the effort, right? You thought like, well, push a button, it should just get delivered. And one thing about manifestation is it takes consistency, it takes discipline, and it takes intentional work. And I think when we really saw I really saw you commit. And I think that's what you said. You don't really know what happened at that time. I saw what happened at that time. When we had our intense conversation, like you had to confront that you were responsible for all that you had created. And when you take accountability for your life, it's a huge, sometimes rude awakening of like, okay, if I created this, then I can also create something different. And then I gave you all the tools to create something different. You actually started putting in the work. You started being so consistent with it every single day. And I remember because you were checking in with me, and, it's really hard to be consistent every single day. I'll be honest, I'm not consistent every single day, but I know when I am, shit is fucking flowing, right? But like,
right.
I think like it was like maybe like 4 6 weeks later, what did you have like 100 grand check come in or something? Or you like sold a house or maybe two, and like you were just like the abundance just
It was like five. There were five closings all at once, and then 2 weeks later there were another two. So I had seven closings, and I had, like I don't know, it was like 130 or 140 in the bank, and maybe like $10 when we had our arguments. So when you're going from having $10 in an account, a company that's collapsed after COVID, and like it's a lot of stress, but you realize, man, I can pivot. And I can put myself first. And she held me accountable because she believes in me. Shouldn't I believe in me even more than she does? And boom. And I had like this, and guess what? Bills were paid. Things were done. And it was so nice to have that done. But there's something to be said about, you said it earlier, I don't remember, but there's a strength it takes to be humble. There's a strength it takes somebody with a lot of masculine energy, like I had, to be humble. And I think finding that feminine energy and knowing that I could caress that and not consolidate it and put it off to the side, that I could caress it and own that and the masculine energy at the same time, and not just be all masculine all the time and all demanding all the time, allowed me um, to open up those doors for the deal closing, the new clients, the correct relationships that would benefit me. I had somebody recently say, "Hey, I'd really like you to take my listing and 2.7, 2.8 million." And, we'd gone back and forth a little bit. And I said, you know what? I really don't think this is a healthy relationship. There's other stuff he'd said, about his girlfriend I didn't want to know. And I said, I'm just going to walk away. It's okay. I'm not going to chase your listing because I can close 2 houses at 1.3 or 4 houses at 800 and have the same thing. I don't need to chase anything. I'm going to have exactly what's meant for me. And if just talking to you on the phone stresses me out, or just texting you throws me off for the day, you're not worth it. And
Yeah.
and maybe you're worth it for somebody else, but you're not worth it for me. You're not worth it for Kimmie. And that's okay. That's that feminine energy of saying, it's okay for me right now to stand back. And you can go off and be the barking dog. And I'm not interested. Sorry, thank you, bye.
Yeah.
Just nicely.
Yeah. That shift from your masculine energy to your feminine energy, and that was such a huge part of the work that we were doing together, was so massive. And so what you're talking about right now is the receiving, right? Because and when we're in our masculine energy, and both are great when they're in balance and it's healthy, right? So healthy masculine energy is like structure and taking action and doing the things, right? Feeling, following your inspiration and going for it. Feminine energy is relaxing, nourishment, releasing control, surrendering, and receiving. And so once we really got you balanced in your masculine and feminine energy, you were able to be a better receiver. Because why? When you were a child or at some point when you were younger, you didn't feel worthy or deserving of receiving. So you defaulted to your masculine energy, thinking the only way that I can receive is if I push, force, and pull and go claw at it and get it. And that's where
And
you were
control.
living in control, right? And that's where you were living forever, which is what was depleting you. So once we really got you to tap into more of your feminine aspects, we were able to not only call on the abundance, but receive the abundance. And also, like you said, take care of your mind, body, and spirit. That 55 pounds that you said that you lost in the last year, I have no doubt it's, both physical and metaphysical. I'm sure it's both energy and emotion, as well as it is the nutrition and the diet and the loving and taking care of yourself, right? Because we hold on to all of the negative energy and all of the trauma and all the things that we go through when we don't heal them. And so much of our journey was healing, but also teaching you all these new aspects of that were just missing from your life, and having you implement, watching you implement them, Kimmie, I would say was pretty amazing. Because I have lots of clients, and the reason I invited you on the podcast is because I really saw the massive transformation, and that is only possible if you were really doing the work, if you were really disciplined, and you were really implementing all the things that I'm teaching. Because it's not easy to reprogram yourself. Like you said, at 45 years old, you've been living your life in survival for so many years. You've been conditioned for in this to think this way and operate this way in your life for so long. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm just going to start behaving and operating in a different frequency and a different vibration. That is not easy. And it just takes such a incredible dedication. And so that's why you have the results that you have. And that's why life gets to continue to unfold and be so abundant and fulfilling and happy. And just even the light that is coming off of you right now, like your inner glow is shining. And that for me is like, that's everything.
I love you so much. I have such a peace. It's that I just didn't have. And I spent a lot of my childhood I'm number two of six. So there was always a new baby. They were always more important. I was kind of like the third parent, the built-in babysitter. And you know, I think I just never felt good enough. And I had to push to feel good enough. So now I'm in such a beautiful, beautiful place. And I'm so happy. And I'm able to recognize when I'm not in a good place, when I'm heading into a place that's a little bit more maybe over masculine or maybe is filled with anger, and recognize that anger. We had another conversation that sticks out to me really big, Diana, and I don't know how much time we have, but
Yeah, you can share.
we had
Yeah.
another conversation where you said, like, why are you so bothered by this? Like, why are you so bothered by this thing that happened? And I was like, I don't know. And you're like, that really shouldn't bother you that much. So what is it really that's bothering you? And you just kept asking me. I'm like, I don't know. And then the further we spoke into it, we realized that it was about, a lot of it did stem from growing up. And no matter what I said, no matter what I did, I was always shifted to the side. So when I'd asked somebody to do something for me and they didn't do it, I'm like, it's like I'm not important enough to do it for me. Like, and it comes from that childhood of, I'm not important. I'm at the end of the totem pole. Make it
I
important.
don't matter.
Right. I don't matter. And now I'm able to dig in a little bit deeper and figure out why I feel certain ways I feel. Where before it was just like, I'm mad. I'm mad. Why did you do it? Rather than
Mhm.
why do I feel like this? So it
Mm.
went from why did you or why didn't you to why do I? And how can I either do it myself or prevent it from occurring this way again, and without me feeling like there's such a strain? Because every time something went wrong, I felt like a rubber band, like just yanked, and like I was pulled, and I couldn't calm down. I couldn't let go. And now I don't have that.
Wow, that's powerful. Well, the common saying is triggers are our teachers, right? And you were living in an unconscious state, basically, where when you were triggered, you were like, it's your fault and it's your fault and you're the problem, right? And again, how much inner power it takes to take accountability and say, what is it saying about me for me to be triggered by this right now? What does it mean for me? Like, and what is this showing about my inner world and the way that and all the places that I'm still unhealed, right? And the triggers that were coming up, and I always say this whenever I work with a client, when we work together, our two souls coming together to do this, powerful and impactful inner work, the universe is also a third party in there that comes in and starts to bring up all of your shit to the surface, right? Whether it was you having $10 in your bank
Oh,
account, or having these people come for you, or having all your relationship look like this, or having your mother come in like this, like all of these triggers started to pop in your reality, and you're like, fuck, like, what do I do? And it's just like, this is God trying to show you all the places that we're not in alignment, all the places that we still need to work on, all the places we need to, all the shadows that we need to look into and start to heal, right? And it's like every time one of those things popped up, we worked on it, boom, it smoothed out. We worked on it, boom, all of a sudden that dissipated, boom, we worked on this, oh, money's in the bank account, boom, we worked on this, wow, boundaries, healthier relationships, like everything just started to really fizzle out because we just dealt with every single thing head on. And when you really see that everything in your life is really trying to help you evolve and grow and expand and heal, and you see every challenge that way, you're not as resistant to it, right? You're like, because before you're like, fuck this, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I hate this person, right? And you're pushing things away instead of embracing the challenge and saying, what is it trying to teach me? What am I meant to learn here? And how can I grow from this? And I think for you, when you really started to change your mindset about what these triggers meant and what they were showing you, you started to transcend and ascend at an exponential rate.
but it's scary. And I'm going to say that from this point of view, because I think this is going to hit some people. It doesn't matter if you don't like yourself. It doesn't matter if you are angry all the time, or work controls you, or if you're just controlled by looking for that special partner or whatever else it is, you're comfortable with who you are because it's all you know. So in order to become who you're going to be, you have to leave that behind. And that's scary. That's really scary. As a 45-year-old woman, it's scary. As somebody older, it could be much scarier. As somebody younger, you may or may not be able to hop and be a little bit more pliable. But for me, it was very scary. She wants me to leave this bitchy person behind who got shit done. She wants me to leave her behind. And if I leave her behind, then what am I going to be? That's really a hard thing, where you have to trust the process and trust the coach on the other side, because if you don't trust that coach, so in psychology, there's a concept called unconditional positive regard. And we say that you don't give unconditional love to anybody except like the people that you really love, like your family, your kids, your spouse, whatever. But a therapist has something called unconditional positive regard. A teacher has unconditional positive regard. A coach has that when they're really good, where no matter what, they want you to succeed. They want you to do well. They want you to come out stronger and more empowered on the other side, right? And I felt that with you. And I never felt that with anybody before. And there was a lot of lessons. I have a decent sized closet. I have dresses in it, pants in it. And now, guess what? I've lost some weight, so a lot of it doesn't fit. Some of it's just old. Truthfully, what's going to happen if I have an event to go to and I need to buy a new outfit or buy a new work business suit or buy a new dress? I'm going to buy something new that's fresh. I'm not going to dig through all that old shit. Mm-hmm. So if I go into my house, which this is another little side effect that I've gotten from coaching, which is great, I'm able to get rid of things that had emotional baggage attached to them. Things in my kitchen, things in my closet. But if I clean out my closet, and my closet holds, let's say, 100 things. If I clean it out and I now only have 30 things, now I've got 70% of the room left. And that's what I had to learn how to do in my closet, in my kitchen, in my garage, in my person, is clean it out and get rid of it, and either iron it out, like you said, or come to terms with it. I know we did like a ceremony when we did the goddess retreat, that I had some stuff come out that I wasn't expecting. I had no idea where it came from. But once I knew I was mad, there was really nothing to do after that, just to get it out, to have that catharsis and get it out, to take all these old things that were part of me and get rid of them because they weren't doing me good any longer. And once you get that out of your system, then, and you have to have that paired with the trust. You have to get that out of your system, as well as trust the process with the coach that you trust. So you have to trust the process, the coach, and yourself, to know that you're going to hold on to as much as you consider good as you can. Get rid of as much of the stuff that either is bad or just not working for you. Because sometimes there's okay stuff, but it's stagnant in your life. I've got some beautiful dresses in the closet, but I'm not going to wear them. So maybe they need to be somebody else's, right? They don't need to be mine any longer. Throw them on Poshmark or whatever. But, we have to get into that kind of mentality and that life that where we're able to open it up and choose what's good or bad. Just like with our parents, we choose the good, we leave the bad. With ourselves and our past, same thing, right? And even with my kids, I've learned recently that maybe they didn't come into my life for me to teach them. Maybe they came into my life for them to teach me. Mm-hmm. And they do teach me every day, all types of things that I think either like things that are reminiscent of childhood, or that I wish I would have gone through, or that, just little joys and little sparks with them that are so powerful and that are so sweet. And I wouldn't have had that room to see that if I just continued to be busy chasing the dollar, Mm-hmm. I have a girlfriend who's a stylist, and she was working 7 days a week. She went to working 5 days a week. She said, Kimmie, I am making more money in 5 days a week than 7 days a week. And I said, why is that? She said, because sometimes when you chase the dollar, it chases you. And she said that in Spanish, but nonetheless, she said it. She said, because sometimes when you chase the dollar, it chases you. She was
Yeah.
spending more and losing more, trying to work her life away than just working 5 days a week like a normal hairstylist.
Yeah. Going back to the inner closet you were cleaning out, why it's so scary to have to let go of this old identity, because your ego is very attached to being disempowered, to being a victim, to not having enough, to being exhausted. Like once you form like the identity and the ego, they form right into this like melded piece of your personality, right? And like you said, it's like when I'm asking you to throw all of these other aspects away, the trust was that it would be filled with something better, that it would be filled with a better way forward, a different way to live, right? But that void of letting go of who you were, but not yet fully in the person you want to be yet, that in between limbo stage is terrifying, right?
It's
Because in
terrifying.
that, yeah, in that place, your ego has nothing to grasp onto, because you're like, well, this is who I am. I'm this boss bitch. I get shit done and I'm exhausted all the time. And that's who I am. My son sees me working on the computer. That's who I am. Don't mess with me, right? Like it's ego, right? And having that ego death and dissolving that piece of yourself is is deep trust, not just with me, but with the universe of who do I get to become now? Right? Who do I get to evolve into now? And why a lot of people don't evolve and they stay stagnant and who in all of their messy inner closet, right? And they just hoard all the things and the old energy and the ways that don't serve them and all that stuff, that things that are just outdated, is because comfort feels more safe because it's familiar than having to step out of that and find something new and adapt to something new and create something new. But, you know, the comfort zone is a dream killer, as you know, and it is.
It is.
And
It is. You're like complacent. And when you're complacent, you just, you don't know what. I remember waking up and thinking like, well, I guess this is life. What an awful way to feel. Now I'm like, well, I guess this is life, you know? Well, look at this. Look at the sun outside. Look at the wind and my kids and what I'm eating today and the energy from my little puppies. Look at my life now. Look at what I have, you know? Look at the way
yeah.
I really value it. But it's
Oh,
scary when you don't know who you are going to be. You don't know who you can be, and you don't know, like, it's like this empty thing. I'm like, I don't know. It was like when I was a kid and they would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know. And I didn't know. And then I'm like, I'm over here and it's like, what do you want to be when you're done coaching with Diana? I don't know what I'm going to be at the end of this.
I
I don't know.
I don't think anybody knows where they're going to land when they're, you know, complete with my work. But I think that's kind of part of the surrender piece that I try to teach people, right? Because I mean, I'll tell you, I had no idea I was going to land in this position when I was going through my healing journey and my transformation over the last 10 years. This wasn't the goal. I wasn't like, you know, all right, I'm 25. I'm going into my first ayahuasca ceremony. And when I come out of this, I'm going to be a life coach. Like that wasn't it,
Right.
right? It was just like, I need to get this gunk out of my energy field because I feel like I want to kill myself, right? And that's the ever unfolding aspect of our being. I think that part is really the most joyous piece for me, is because it's the mystery. But I think what we haven't touched on, which we can talk about a little bit here, is children of trauma do not like not knowing.
Agreed.
Why? Because when you don't know the unknown, right? The unforeseeable future, the uncertainty of what's coming, more than likely our nervous system has registered the unknown as dangerous, violent,
Mhm.
destruction, doom, death, something bad is going to happen. And so it takes a lot of healing and reprogramming to befriend the unknown and to see the mystery as inviting and exciting and infinite potential and possibility rather than, the mystery of like, oh my God, somebody is coming to get me and somebody's after me and something bad's going to happen and the other shoe's going to drop and I'm going to lose all my money and like, and but here's the thing, the mystery, right? That door with the question mark, you have no idea what's behind it, will be whatever it is you expect it to be. And that's what most people don't realize. Because if you expect it to be doom, destruction, and death, more than likely it will be, because you create your reality. And if you think it's abundant blessings, fulfillment, and prosperity, more than likely it will be that as well. And
Mhm.
so it's a huge shift in your relationship with the mystery of the universe, right? And allowing that to unfold and bloom into your life rather than bracing for impact constantly.
Yeah, I think also like not knowing what it's going to be makes you, it's such a feeling where there's no safety. There's no
Yes.
safety on that side. And you're saying to yourself, what's going to happen when I get there? Or where's that going to lead me? Am I going to be worse than now? Because
Mm-hmm.
when you are a child of trauma, you're used to sometimes everything's fine. And then all of a sudden, something goes wrong that may or may not have anything to do with you. And the floor comes out from under you, or you're beat down or whatever. And that's a very scary place to be in. And I think that is the hardest thing. But, um, I did have a couple of revelations like in our time together. And I know one of them I recorded and I sent it to you. We talk about like God and God being within us. And some people, call it the Holy Spirit. And like my friends I was talking to you about from India, they believe in like the creator and the destroyer and like, a similar concept of like the Holy Spirit being within you.
Mm-hmm.
And um, if God is not this thing, but God is part of us and with us and around us and up there and over here and everywhere, then
Mm-hmm.
we're essentially part of God, right? That means
Yeah,
we can create our own reality. That means we are able to create universes. We do have the power to have whatever we want, as long as we have that goodness embedded in it, as long as our intention is to do it for the right reasons.
absolutely. As long as we are in alignment with our true heart's desires and it takes some work to really uncover what that is because sometimes what we think are our true heart's desires are actually wrapped up in our ego's desire of needing to prove ourselves good enough or childhood trauma of needing to validate, right? Like, and that's why the healing work is so important because people can spend their entire lives, as you did for a long time, chasing something that actually wasn't in alignment, right? And it's not that success wasn't in alignment with you, it's just the way you were going about it. And so now you get to have it with so much more ease and more flow and more joy, more peace, and more presence, which is why even have success if you're not going to have all those other things, right? Like it's almost like it's caught having, I think, what's it just um wealth without the cost, right? It's just like
Like what?
allow.
Yeah. What is real wealth? It's not money, right?
It's not.
It's not money.
Yeah. It
It's
gets
freedom,
to be
it's
money.
happiness. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, money's beautiful, but money's a secondary reinforcer. Money is not really what we're all seeking.
Right.
We're seeking the experiences and the relationships and the people and just being able to walk outside and breathe fresh air. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was gonna ask you, what is your on before we go, what is, I mean, we talked about so many things on here, but if you can name what is the biggest thing that you took away from our journey together, like the number one thing, if you could.
The number one thing that I could, um, oh, there's so many, Diana, there's so many things.
I know, you know what? On my last podcast episode, She said the same thing. So I said, give me a top three.
It's top three, and I mentioned all of those in here. I think we all need to make the room to receive. That would probably be the biggest. Is we want, but there's only so much you can hold. There's only so much capacity that we have for certain things, and when we have really negative energy in our life, it does take so much control. And number two would be boundaries. Boundaries in all my relationships have helped me not let situations upset me, people upset me, people's reactions upset me, people's actions upset me. I am able to just breathe, slow down, think, consider the outcome and the consequences before I just react. And boundaries allow that to happen. And then I'd say the last thing is definitely the feminine energy. For me, finding feminine energy was really good. And I did go to the goddess, the feminine goddess retreat. And that was so good for me to just have that time around other women that were also strong, and some with strong masculine energy, some with strong feminine, some very in line, like yin and yang. But to be around women again, to laugh and be playful and cry, just a lot of crying. But I needed that because I spent about 2 years without crying. And you think like, well, maybe that's good. Maybe it's not, because there's things that affect us. And having those emotions are still important. We just can't bottle them up or push them down. I spent a lot of time doing that, right? We talked about that constantly. Like, Kimmie, you can't just push the amount. You just can't say, oh, I choose to be happy and I'm happy, and fake it. That's not
The
going to work.
toxic positivity was a thing for you for a while. I was like, what are we doing here? This is not real.
You're like, you're not healing at all with that. But
you're like, I'm happy even though everything is on fire. It's fine. No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
And I needed to like get that energy out and shake it off, quite literally, and look at my selfish reasons for things, and look at my selfless reasons for things, and focus on not just myself, but how am I part of this whole picture? How am I, Kimmie, like the one human cell in this body of the world, right? It's not just about me ever. It's about me and my community and, those I'm interacting with, because as I was kinder to people and calmer to people, they were kinder to me. They were calmer to me. You start to get back a lot more of what you receive, of what you're giving. And that was extremely helpful too. But that feminine energy to pull back sometimes and to just even be a lady. Like, hi, I'm a lady. You want to hold the door for me? Sure, hold the door for me. Why not? And accept it and be flattered by it. Because look, not everybody gets the joy of having a vagina, do they? Nope, not everybody.
But also because you stepped into, I deserve to receive. I deserve to receive for no reason. I deserve to receive in massive and overflowing amounts. I deserve to receive everywhere I go. And all of a sudden, there you are, that magnet attracting everything to you. And it's just like, so beautiful to see. I'm so proud of your journey. I love watching you continue to blossom and bloom. And I know you're going to continue to do so much more in the world, because that's who you are. You can't stop. I know that you're never going to stop your growth and all the things that you're going to continue to create. So it's really exciting. I'm going to be tagging your Instagram handle in the show notes so people will know where to find you. If you feel inspired by this conversation, please leave a review in the Apple Podcast store or send it to someone you love that might benefit from hearing this. Kimmie, you are such a light, and I'm so excited to continue to be on this path together. And yeah, I love you guys. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram at the Urban Indigo. I hope you guys enjoyed another episode of the Urban Indigo Podcast, and we will catch you next time.